Let's begin with a trivia question. Which Canadian Prime Minister is responsible for the greatest one-year deficit in the history of the country? I'll give you a hint, it's not Pierre Trudeau. Most people guess Pierre Trudeau, so if you did, don't feel bad, but it wasn't Mr. Trudeau. Here's another hint. He's an arch-conservative, radical, right-wing politician who, as a young man, a young, bitter, lonely man, used to seethe at all that liberal red ink and promised himself that when he became Prime Minister one day, he would change things. He would bring his fiscal conservatism to bear, and there would be black ink, and there would be a righted fiscal ship. Yes, very good, it's Stephen Harper. In 2010, Stephen Harper's Conservatives created a $55 billion deficit, the largest ever. You have to remember, too, that they didn't start from zero. When they took over government, they had been handed 5 consecutive surplus budget years by the Liberals. The last year of John Chrétien's Liberals was a $13 billion deficit. So first they had to squander that before they were able to dig the $55 billion hole. Something seems amiss here, doesn't it? Aren't fiscal conservatives always telling you that they're the ones who should be in charge of the purse strings? That liberals are profligate spenders and are just going to run the place into the red? Of course it's a myth. It's a lie. Stephen Harper loves it, of course, because he loves a good lie. He's a relentless liar. He spent his entire political life lying, as his record proves, and this is just another big one. If you look at the history of fiscal conservatives, they have failed far more often than they succeeded. Ronald Reagan came in promising to get rid of all the Jimmy Carter red ink and then proceeded to create the greatest debt in the history of mankind. George Bush topped him, another fiscal conservative, so-called. In Canada, Brian Mulroney said he was going to run a surplus. He ran a deficit. In Ontario, Mike Harris came in and he promised to get rid of all that NDP debt and run a surplus. He failed, although he and his finance minister, Jim Flaherty, lied about it at the end, but eventually the lie came out. In fact, the only 2 people in the last 30 years in North America who have been able to be consistently in the black were liberals, Bill Clinton and John Chrétien. And yet the conservatives keep telling this lie. They're the ones who should be in charge of the purse strings because they're responsible. So Stephen Harper is going to keep telling it to you. Every time this election he talks about how he's going to get control of spending, just remember, he's created the single greatest one-year deficit in the history of the country. And now this liar is telling you that he's the man for the job if you want to be in the black. Doesn't make sense, does it?